Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We are going to focus on a bit of an SMB workshop, in particular around Microsoft 365 for Business. My name is Tom Robbins. I'm a director at Stripe, and I'm also joined with Peter Graham. Peter, do you want to do a quick intro?
Yes, thank you, Tom. Hi, everyone. My name is Peter Graham, and I'm a Microsoft specialist in licensing. Been specializing in this for approximately 4 to 5 years now, and looking forward to demoing some of the content to you all today.
Good. So yes, what we will do, guys, is make sure this is super valuable. Lots of content we hope to inspire you to kind of use more in the M365 cloud, in particular stuff that you're probably already paying for. So yeah, we pay a lot of money to Microsoft, and we want to make sure that we're using all of those capabilities and investments. So in terms of what we will cover, we're going to focus on some of the key challenges facing small and medium businesses. I don't want to talk about COVID anymore, but that was a big kind of shift in the way that we all work. We've got a lot of people that are working from home now, more and more, and people that are completely remote. So what are some of the challenges there, and how can the M365 Business Premium suite help you with that? Those topics included collaboration and security around the M365 Business Premium suite. So there's a lot of security tools available inside of the M365 Business license set, and we're going to talk to you about what those are. And Peter's also going to do a demonstration on some of those capabilities. If you've got any questions during, please pop into the chat, and we will definitely take time at the end to answer all of them. Feel free to ask any questions, be it technical or non-technical. I'm hoping that myself or Peter will be able to cover them in some capacity. So effectively, a real focus on value. How can we make the most of your Microsoft investments, especially in the M365 Business Premium stack? When all of that's wrapped around with the complex hybrid working world, hopefully it's going to be super valuable for you. So a little bit about Stripe and Microsoft. Why are we doing this today? Effectively, we are a Microsoft partner. We only work with Microsoft technology. So there are a lot of other kind of players in the space around Google, AWS, etc. But we only specialize in Microsoft and the Microsoft product stack. So we are in a really good position to help you make the most of your Microsoft investments. In terms of modern work, so Intune, Defender for Endpoint, all of those kind of cloud-first solutions, plus security. We've got half of our business is focused purely on security, so full 24/7 operation, etc. that we run here. We've been established for a very long time, 20 years now, and throughout those years, we've grown from a small kind of MSP to a full 360 MSSP and MSP, two sides to our business, and we focus, as I said, purely on people that have invested in the Microsoft stack. We do work for lots of clients in the UK, very big names. Effectively, anyone who has invested in Microsoft 365 and cares about security, generally, we find that we work well together. So, Peter, I think we're on to the next one now.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll take it from here then, yeah?
Yes, please.
Brilliant. So just going back to what Tom was saying in terms of the pandemic, unfortunately, as much as it seems like a distant memory now, the pandemic obviously changed a lot of how people were transacting and working with their IT needs. And small companies have always been the backbone of our economy. It's clear that it's what keeps us running. They're the reason why so many communities thrive. In terms of, we don't offer, we'd always kind of think about the flashy brands, the attention of Wall Street. And when the pandemic hit, businesses all over the world had to scramble and adapt. Many small and medium-sized businesses really struggled. Many of them closed, sold up. And with these changes, they just didn't know how to make it through. And now we're 2 years through, and we need to rethink work. It's no longer a place you go. It's a set of activities that people need to perform from anywhere. And with Microsoft, they believe that people that are the driving force behind the business's progress. People are, generalized problem solvers. They invent new things, improve old things. They imagine a future and find new ways to do things. And in the context of business productivity, the pandemic has reminded us of two things. People are amazingly resilient. They can adapt to the changing circumstances, and they all make a difference. And you can't increase people's productivity by treating them like machines. When it comes to people, more work isn't equal to more output. We sprint and then we need time to recover. And what's more is we're social animals. We need each other. In fact, we do our best work together. And with COVID-19, witnessing it firsthand, we're changing the way we work in the future. Companies around the world are starting to embrace hybrid working. The shift has been particularly rapid for small companies, like restaurants who've switched to in-person dining, to online ordering or curbside pickup, doctors who've switched from in-person appointments to telemedicine, and companies that have switched from in-person document exchanges to digital signing. And as we continue to adapt to this new normal, life as we knew it will never return. It's very clear, and it shows from Microsoft research that over 70% of workers want flexible remote working options in their companies, and they look for that when they're applying for jobs. And 66% of business decision makers are planning to redesign spaces to accommodate hybrid working options. So the new normal has demonstrated that in order to thrive, businesses need to invest in developing capabilities in these three core areas: real-time collaboration, security, and they need to save cost. With the cost of living crisis, it's clear that everyone is trying to cut costs, but it turns out that people are spending more money in IT, even though they're cash strapped. And old legacy and on-premise solutions don't solve a lot of the business challenges that you have. Point solutions don't solve those challenges. And it's clear that a comprehensive integrated solution will help you become more collaborative, more secure, and save costs because it reduces the complexity. And business owners around the world recognize that to get a modern technology stack with the benefits of cloud, productivity, and security, the need has never been greater. Small business owners understand that they need to accelerate their digital transformation. They often just don't know where to start. It's increasingly common that they recognize that their businesses are vulnerable to phishing and ransomware and other security threats that we'll cover later on in this session. But again, they're not sure how to go about it. And they know that they need to conserve cash to weather the uncertain times ahead. But together with the right tools, Microsoft 365 is the solution that's designed to equip business owners to respond to the three key challenges. So in this presentation, we'll show you how to be more collaborative that connects your workforce together, secure your business with technology that you can trust and rely on, and how you can consolidate and reduce your costs. But you may ask, what is Microsoft 365? Now, for those of you who may have missed the name change, Microsoft loves a name change of a product. It used to be Office 365, and it's still around to this day, but Microsoft 365 encompasses the best of Microsoft's productivity and advanced security options. So if you're running a business and you know that the world has changed a lot in the last few years and you're dealing with a landscape that's, very different to how you used to transact businesses and interact with your customers, or you've had employees that were, all located locally, but now you've got employees up and down the country, it's clear that, we need to collaborate more easier, and it's not just being in the office all the time. And it's easier to do businesses with customers through meetings on Teams and so on. So as you're aware, employees are working from home, multiple locations up and down the country. How you work with your customers and suppliers has also changed. You're not meeting them in person as much as you used to. I'm sure your expenses are a lot lower as well for that. And there's a growing realization that remote work is here to stay. So to do this right, in fact, Gartner Incorporated did a survey that revealed 74% will move some of their previously on-site workforce to permanently remote positions post-COVID. So we'll kind of look into why are we talking about business premium? Now, obviously, there's a lot of Microsoft 365 products and services. You've got Business Basic, Standard, Enterprise E3, E5. You may have some of these already in your landscape. But why are we talking about Business Premium today? Well, the reason for it is Business Premium brings together the key capabilities that enable you to work from everywhere. It allows you to collaborate with Microsoft Teams. It allows you to have enterprise-grade security with identity and data and device protection, and even includes access to virtual desktops. And it helps you reduce your costs because it is one solution that does multiple features and results, that eases the licensing complexity, and it also reduces the amount of point solutions. One platform to go on and monitor your threats and exposure and collaboration between your employees. And as a customer, it eliminates a lot of the overheads that support this as well. So you can focus on driving your business more. And you may be thinking, security, Microsoft doesn't kind of go well. Whenever I think of Microsoft, I think of Xbox, I think of Bing, I think of Edge or Internet Explorer. But in fact, a lot of people don't realize that Microsoft is one of the biggest security technology companies in the world. And these stats on the screen show you why you need to take more notice of this. As an enterprise software leader with over 90% of the Fortune 500 companies, security and privacy are at the core of how Microsoft builds its software, from Windows to Exchange to Xbox. Microsoft in 2019 blocked over 11 billion malicious and suspicious messages powered by AI. And they even have their own digital crimes unit as well. And this is because all the devices that we interact with on a daily basis, Microsoft is monitoring any malicious activity, links, documents, code that is shared. Think of the spam messages that you might have on Xbox when you're playing Call of Duty or Fortnite or something, with your kids or something. Or think of the amount of times that you try to log in to your account from a remote location that you've never logged into before. Or whenever you've clicked on you did a search history for something, and it's brought up a link, but that link doesn't seem quite right. Or someone shared a document that's been intercepted and has a malicious code in it. Microsoft is monitoring, is there a threat in anything that is being passed between point-to-point, exchanges with people? And they are finding out what the security exposure is firsthand when it's being created, because people are using the technology that Microsoft has built. Now, when we look at Business Premium, it really is more cost competitive versus point solutions, as you can see here. If you didn't think about the capabilities in Business Premium, including Defender for Office 365, Azure Active Directory, which is now Entra ID, you've got Intune for device management, data loss prevention, and information protection, upgrade rights to Windows 11 and more. Where would you would be paying almost double the price, as you can see here. We've got some of the references in the small text below of some of the other solutions that you could be buying that Microsoft Business Premium can replace, because it is all part of it out of the box. But obviously your IT provider is there to support you in activating and turning on all this functionality. And that's where Stripe comes in. Obviously, you get the benefit of the solution that's designed, and we're trying to disparate the point solutions to work. As well as what you're seeing on this slide, Microsoft's technology has been recognized as best in class by many influential analysts. In the last year, Gartner designated Microsoft as a leader in the 5 Magic Quadrants, recognizing that Microsoft's commitment to protect all of its customers, small businesses, and enterprise. Microsoft was named the leader in the IDC MarketScape for endpoint security and enterprise for small and mid-sized businesses. So you can see here in the top right-hand corner where the capability of a software vendor is monitored on the left, and their strategy and vision is along the bottom. Microsoft has a much bigger footprint of its software hold on what is capable and what is possible within the security landscape. Obviously, all these other solutions have their own unique value. But when it comes to reducing your costs, Microsoft will typically do a lot of what they already do in just different licensing stacks. And there's more. There's a number of third-party benchmarking testing organizations that attest to the quality of Microsoft's capability. So one of the core needs of any business is good antivirus. And the good news is that Microsoft Defender antivirus is now ranked as one of the top AVs. Who would have thought whenever we were all on Windows 7 or Windows XP that would ever be a statement? So to recap, Business Premium brings together the multi-layered security within your productivity and collaboration tools, so you can run your business from anywhere. There's protection across the 4 key pillars of how a threat actor would access a business. So they would try to steal someone's identity to access their account and access your organization. They would try and access the devices that user is using. Maybe they steal a device, maybe someone leaves it on a train or something, or maybe they steal it from the office. Or there's the applications on the device. Maybe they hack the device and not the user, and they try to take over some malicious code within the applications on the device. Or they try to input some malicious code or activity into the documents that you're sending. If you think about it, when you create a document and you send it, if someone wants to edit that document or change whatever's inside it, you wouldn't know unless you have the right security and information protection policies to tell you whether something has been changed. And the protection continues, throughout. And with Defender for Business, which we'll touch on later, it brings the enterprise-grade endpoint security against the malware and ransomware technologies that you would expect. And it's typically the features and functionality that you'd find in Microsoft's most expensive subscription, an E5. So the apps that you're using to access your work data can be managed, such as Intune for app protection. You can block documents from being saved in personal sites and documents and devices. And Defender for Office 365 can help defend against the phishing and cyber threats that are linking in attachments in real time in Teams, in Outlook, or OneDrive. And data loss prevention and information protection can automatically classify and protect sensitive information and restrict forwarding, copying of sensitive emails and documents, which we'll demo later. So the good news is there's a solution, which is Business Premium, that provides you a comprehensive, secure, remote work solution that can address all these needs that we've just discussed. It brings together all the productivity tools that you know and love every day, Word, Excel, Outlook, and Teams. And it brings together the most advanced remote access and security and device management capabilities in one core solution. So let's go into a bit more detail around what they mean. So obviously, we all know Teams. We all communicate on it. We're all using Teams today. We're collaborating. And you can use Teams for informal one-on-one group chats. You can have open conversations in a channel. It allows you to chat with people externally to your organization as well. And you can collaborate in real time by co-authoring files in Teams very quickly with people outside your business. Plus, with shared documents in the cloud, you can benefit from version control. So if somebody edits something and you're like, oh, no, I didn't want them to change that, you can go back and you can undo or open up a version that was previously saved, an hour ago or yesterday. And to go into that kind of external collaboration in a bit more detail, it's common that people are always working with contractors and consultants and other clients. And guest access in Teams allows you to fully participate and collaborate by, you can schedule Teams meetings with anyone who has a valid business or consumer email address. You can make and receive calls with them. If you have Teams phone, you can obviously dial in and call their mobile numbers. And it really allows you to collaborate with your customers without having to go see them as well. When we look at the security side of things, just how vulnerable is an organization? It's no surprise that there was a 300% increase in ransomware attacks, and more than 50% were directed against small businesses. Now, that was in 2021. That was almost at the height of the pandemic. If you're a thief and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go and steal something, you're not going to go to someone's house when they're all on lockdown. You're going to sit on your device and you're going to think of a way that you can take advantage of someone's mistaken, click on an email or something like that. And this is what has become more apparent. It's easier to breach a device or take someone's identity than it is to go and steal a car or to break into someone's house. And what's worse is that small, medium-sized businesses face the same threats as enterprises, although they don't have quite the same protection. An enterprise business would obviously have the likes of E5 and so on, and we'll hear about them in the news. We heard about Royal Mail, we heard about Arnold Clark, and all these other organizations being attacked and data breaches and things like that. And they can afford to pay sometimes the ransomware to get their data back. But the average cost of a data breach is £100,000. It's not small change. And some of these small businesses just cannot afford this, and so they close up. So small businesses need a solution that optimizes their security by protecting themselves against all the cyber threats that every business faces. And it's no surprise that the biggest the weakest link in security is typically someone's password. Now, multi-factor authentication can prevent 99.9% of identity attacks. Now, obviously, there's still the potential attacks on device, the application, and so on, and the documents. But from your identity, your email is your identity in the digital world. Passwordless multi-factor authentication includes the multi-factor authentication app, Windows Hello, FIDO keys, and even your fingerprint or Windows Hello. And they're great for helping you to log in without the need of having to put in code sometimes, and it just makes it much easier for Microsoft and for your device to understand that you are the right person that should be allowed to log in. And we'll touch upon this in a bit more detail later in the demos and things. But I just want to make sure that if you don't have MFA turned on right now, go and turn it on, because you don't know if somebody's in your organization now, because MFA would trigger that response so that only the right people can access the right accounts. So in regards to Azure Active Directory, again, you may not know what this is, or you may have heard of the recent name change, which is called Entra ID. But for example, you could create a policy in Business Premium under conditional access that when somebody attempts to log in from a country in which you do not do business from, or you could use conditional access to restrict access if a user is logging in from an unrecognized device or an unrecognized location, and it can trigger multi-factor authentication on the phone. You can combine those policies, obviously, so that whenever someone accesses work data from a location that is not trusted, like a country that you've never been to, you can ensure that the right technology is putting in place those barriers so that I log off at 5:30 on a Friday afternoon, and for some reason I log into Amsterdam 15 minutes later. Conditional access knows that that's physically not possible and triggers MFA. You'll get a notification on your phone to say an attempted login is happening right now, and you can deny it. You can change your password, obviously. Or if say an example would be when I'm going up and down the country in England, and I log into my device, from a coffee shop in Scotland or somewhere I've never been before, it will trigger MFA because I've never been there before. But the most common locations that I'm logging in all the time, like the office or my home or something like that, it will not trigger MFA all the time because it knows that that's typically in my normal routine. Now, when we look at preventing cyber attacks and data loss prevention, this is where Defender for Office 365 comes in and helps safeguard your users. And with increased cyber attacks like phishing attacks and ransomware, we get it every day on our own personal emails, of course. Business Premium can protect these external threats by giving you the access to the same enterprise-grade security protections of many of the world's largest companies. Links are checked in real time to warn you if a destination is malicious with safe links. When a user clicks on the URL by mistake in the email message or in the Office file, Defender Safe Links immediately blocks it and tags it as malicious before even going to the website. So it takes you to a preview to say, you shouldn't click on this because of this. Now, you can still let organizations go through, as you can see here in the slide. You can click continue anyway, not recommended. But again, you can block and remove that link in the policies that you can have within your organization so that they can go through the right channels. AI-powered anti-phishing intelligence helps protect against impersonation to combat the latest phishing methods where attackers impersonate a user or a brand. Maybe it's, maybe a Microsoft email has came through to your organization, but the I is a 1, where people are thinking, oh, it's a Microsoft email, but you need to check the characters within it. You can set up policies so it can check for impersonation of other companies, and where maybe 1 or 2 characters are different in the email domain. And by enforcing Defender malware protection across your company, your Windows 10 devices or Windows 11 devices can help prevent users from interacting with ransomware and malicious web locations to protect files and key system folders. Now, most businesses deal with a variety of sensitive information like credit card numbers, date of birth, intellectual property, and sometimes that's just the core of running your business. Keeping this information safe can always be a daunting task, especially with GDPR. And Business Premium helps you protect your data from, or your sensitive customer information or employee information from accidental leaks by utilizing data loss prevention capabilities. These data loss prevention capabilities can identify, monitor, and protect sensitive information through the content analysis, even if your staff forget to apply these controls. So it includes pre-configured templates so you can detect specific types of information or words being communicated in emails and team messages. You can pick up credit card numbers, date of birth, personally identifiable information. And it also provides policy tips so you can help educate and prevent users from accidentally sharing information by displaying a tip in Outlook when they're about to send an email. So if you're about to send a credit card number to somebody outside the company or even inside the company, a prompt will appear saying, this is sensitive information. You should apply policy to this. Please click here to ensure that it's only for this person's email. So no other email can look at that if the email was forwarded. Or it will tell you if somebody had edited any of the details in the email as well to ensure that the right credit card number was put in instead of somebody else's credit card number. Now, when we look at the device side of things, going back to those pillars of Business Premium, as employees work from home from multiple locations, either on their personal devices or their company-owned devices, you may want to manage and secure these devices and how they work on them. And Microsoft Intune gives you an easy way to manage your PCs and mobile devices so that you have peace of mind that your data is safeguarded. Plus, with Autopilot, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail later, it allows you to quickly provision new devices to employees remotely. And you might be asking, well, what is Intune? Or you might already know what Intune is. Intune is effectively a comprehensive suite of features that allows you to control either the device that's connected to your organization's infrastructure or the applications that are running in your organization's infrastructure. So typically you'll have 2 different scenarios. You can have both if you're really sensitive, if you're carrying really sensitive information, but for the purposes of explaining this, I'll cover off mobile device management first. So MDM for short is typically where you issue an employee their own corporate device. Maybe that's their laptop or a work phone. You can control everything that device is doing. So if that employee maybe leaves the business, you can remotely wipe, or if they lose that device, you can remotely wipe and report and measure the device compliance to make sure it's constantly getting its feature updates and things like that. Mobile application management is typically whenever the users are using a personal device, where you only want to control the work apps on the phone, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail. But say, for instance, you only issue your company work-oriented devices. You should still have a mobile application management policy, because you know what humans are like. We're always in a rush to do something. And say, for instance, my phone's died of battery and I really need to send an email and I'm on the train and I can't connect to the internet because there's no Wi-Fi, so I need to use it. So I get up my personal phone. I log in to my email on my personal phone. I log into my work email and I manage to copy and send something or whatever. Well, that is kept on my personal email now. If I've attached a file, that is in my personal email forever now, unless I delete it. And you don't know whether or not that has been stored on someone's device, or they could send that email to another personal email and you would never know. With mobile application management, you can ensure that it still conforms to the same strict policies that you set up, so that you know that nobody has got any work-related activity or information or documents on a personal machine. So this is how it works. You've got Netflix, you've got X, as it's now called, you've got Facebook, and so on. And an email comes through and you want to attach it to something. Well, what happens if it's, someone's accidentally shared an email that says pay grades or something like that, and you want to copy that and you want to screenshot it or share it to somebody on WhatsApp offline? Well, you can say that if they've got Outlook opened up on their personal phone, they cannot take a screenshot. You can say that it will prevent copy and pasting of words or letters or documents from one email application to another. Or they might try and copy the text and put it into Samsung Notes or something, or Apple Notes or whatever. You can prevent all that from happening. And you can even set up notifications so that when somebody does try to do that, the IT admin is informed to say, Joe Bloggs has tried screenshotting a confidential email that was just shared. So you can always be on top of why you've got some of the sensitive information and why some people are trying to, screenshot it, copy it, and so on, to find out the risk before it even happens. Then we move on to autopilot. Now, autopilot allows you to configure and deploy devices in real time. So the scenario would be, my device breaks down, I'm at home, and I need my device to work. Maybe the battery becomes faulty. I can ring up my IT company and I can say, look, this device has become faulty. I need a replacement device. Now, typically, an average IT company will have to order a brand new device, or they might already have the device in stock, and they will need to configure it to all the settings of that user. Then they'll post that to your company's headquarters, and then you'll post it directly to your user who's hybrid working. Not anymore. With Intune, you can deploy all the information that you need on a device and store it in Intune. And providing you're sharing it securely, share the details of where that remote-based user is with your IT provider, so that when they place a replacement faulty device repair, they can say, right, I want this HP or Dell device to be posted directly to the user. When that device is in picking from the warehouse, the details of the serial number and device state are uploaded into Intune, and the device is immediately posted directly to the end user. While in transit, all the policies and settings are sent and created for that device. So the first time that device turns on, when it gets into your user's hands, it will only accept the login details of that user. No other user in the company can access that device. They'll turn it on, they'll log in with their credentials, and it will immediately start downloading and putting in all their applications and documents that they had from OneDrive, so they can get back to work faster. The same can be done for brand new devices to your organization as well. Maybe you're doing a hardware refresh and you want everyone to have the same device on the same day. You can order it directly from your IT supplier and get it almost the next day. And this is all leveraging the cloud-based services, so it can reduce your costs for deploying and managing and retiring devices automatically. Now let's cover Defender for Business. So this is your antivirus protection within Business Premium that gives you the capabilities that come with your Windows device. However, given the increased volume of sophistication in cyber threats, we believe that SMBs now need a greater level of endpoint security across all the platforms. And this is why Defender for Business is included within Business Premium. It brings together the advanced technologies such as endpoint detection and response, which is a simple and cost-effective solution for targeting threats. And Defender for Business can evaluate your security posture from traditional antivirus to next-gen antivirus protection. It offers a simplified configuration and management with intelligent automated investigation and response, so that if something happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can be sure that the device that is being compromised is disconnected from servers, disconnected from the internet, before the hacker has even a chance to have access to your environment. So Defender for Business brings together all the different capabilities that you would expect in one package. And there's no need to separate, network protection and threat vulnerability management, so that your IT administrator can prioritize only the security events that need attention. As I said before, it's enterprise grade endpoint protection, it's easy to use, and it's very cost effective. And this is where it sits. All right. In terms of Business Premium, it sits within Business Premium. You can add it to other SKUs as well, but with the backup of Intune and Azure Information Protection and Azure Active Directory, Entra ID, it really does make the case of where the value of Business Premium comes into its own. And the best part is, it works across almost any OS. It's a centralized security platform, and the simple wizard-driven onboarding and security management is built for Windows, but can also support Mac, iOS, Android, and Linux, and it can help you onboard and manage existing operating systems with Windows 365, on-premise servers, and even virtual servers and virtual desktops. So this is what it is. Threat and vulnerability management helps you prioritize and focus on the weaknesses that pose the most urgent and highest risk to your business. Imagine phoning a security company and saying, can you come out? I want an alarm for my home. They come round and they start scrutinizing the locks. The windows are not tempered. You've got a low fence here. You've no lock on your gate or your shed or something. That is what threat and vulnerability management does for your organization. It scans your environment and tells you where all the holes and gaps are, so you can start prioritizing and discovering even potential or even the highest risks to your business that you may not even know, or even misconfigurations. Attack surface reduction reduces the attack surface. All right. So in terms of looking at all the devices and applications that are using it, which may have the capabilities such as ransomware mitigation, application control, network firewall, and attack surface reduction rules. It looks at everything and says, right, this is all your problems. Let's start upgrading the logs or changing a policy to this. Let's add a security camera here effectively. It tells you all the different things that you should start taking action on to reduce the amount of open doors into your organization. Then we have next generation protection, which helps to prevent against those threats at your front door. So this is your anti-malware, your antivirus protection on all your devices. This is the most up-to-date features that Microsoft is launching to protect all your devices. So if a new malicious threat has been discovered in the news or something, or in the IT community, Defender for Business will get that update immediately so that you can be notified if it has been discovered or if it has been sent in an email to anyone in your business. Endpoint detection and response basically gets you behavioral-based detection and response to alerts that allows you to identify persistent threats and remove them from your environment. It manually responds to actions, which allows you to act on the processes and files, while live response will put you in direct control of each device to ensure that it's remediated, secured, and ready to go. And the best thing of all is the automated investigation and remediation. This helps scale your security operations by examining the alerts and taking immediate action to resolve the attacks for you. So again, going back to what I said earlier, it's 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night, everyone's in bed or out partying still, and someone tries attacking your business. Endpoint detection and response with automated investigation remediation, someone breaks in, attacks a device, and the device is breached. Defender for Business will automatically disconnect all access to your company's data to that device and disconnects it from the internet. It sets up MFA, it disables logins, the lot, so that when you get the alert on your through an email in real time, you can log in, or when you come in on Monday morning, you can log in and you can ensure that one device is compromised and the organization is safe, so that you can put in place the steps to remediate and replace the device for that user. All right. So let's take a look at some of the things that we were just talking about there now in regards to some of the policies that you have. So I'm sharing on screen here. I'm logged in as a user in an environment. I'm just logged in through the web version of Office 365. And say, for instance, I get an email. It's from Alan DeYoung. He's one of the senior board members. And he says, we're updating our accounts. Please use this link to answer a few questions in order to gain access to all your resources. And you're like, okay, brilliant. I'll click on this link because it's from Alan. I know Alan. I went to lunch with him last week. I click on this link and immediately Safe Links comes in real time. And it tells you that this is being classified as malicious because it's been picked up. So you know that if a user happens to be impersonated, like Alan, you know that Safe Links and Defender for Office 365 is protecting you immediately. But say, for instance, it's maybe compromised more than one account. Maybe Alex has been compromised as well. He's from an outside company. I work with him a lot. Maybe his company has been breached. Not my company, his company. And he sent me something across. And he's like, yeah, can you please click on this? This is for the statement of works. Please click on it. I'll open that file and immediately it says that malware has been detected in this attachment and all attachments have been deleted. So I know that if another organization has been compromised and they email into my company, I know that I am safe, which is fantastic. Then we can go into the documents that I have in my company. So if I was to go into Word, okay, as an example, I've got an Excel document here as well. Say, for instance, we've got some new product that we're working on, and we're sharing all the details with staff, and we're talking about it with different people. Okay, we've got the information here about the new camera that we're working on, and we want to share it with a manufacturer, or we want to share it internally with somebody else who's new to the project team. If I was to send this now, I wouldn't know where this document would end up ever. But I want to make sure that this document is safe from external companies, or I only want certain people to see it. When you have Azure Information Protection turned on, where you can see this button here, sensitivity, which is available in all applications, I can say, well, this one here has got credit card information. I don't want, I want it to be highly confidential, and I want it only to, I want, anyone to not to access it, or if I want all employees only. And if I try to share that outside of my organization, it will prevent it because it has this label. Now, if I go to change this label, say I want to send this to somebody, I can put this down to general. And you can see here that justification is required. Why is this highly sensitive document label going down to not sensitive? And you can put in a reason of why that would be. And you can set up a notification to say such and such has tried changing the sensitivity of this document, and you can get notified about that. Or you can prevent them from changing it without an IT administrator getting involved, which is fantastic. And this even applies when you're creating a new mail as well. So if I was to create a new mail and attach that file and put in an external email address in, it will say, I'm sorry, but this email cannot be forwarded. So if we get Project Darkness is the email. So if I go to new mail and I attach Project Darkness, and I'm going to email it to you, Tom. Tom Robbins. Oh, let's just put that correctly here. Tom.Robbins@stripeolt.com. He's external. This document is protected by information protection, and it's saying here the following recipient is outside your organization. Now, the policy that I've got set up will not allow Tom to access this document, okay, which is fine. So if somebody accidentally shares something, it's fine. But what you can also do, which we don't have turned on here, is we can set up alerts to say a third line of notification here to say, hey, this email cannot be opened by Tom because he's external to your company. Or when this email is sent, it will say, I'm sorry, this email has not been sent because it conforms to one of the policies you've already got set up. But you can see here, there's no reason why a user can say, oh, I didn't know, because it immediately tells you that this person's outside your organization and it's highly confidential. But again, we can set up additional policies for that, which is quite an interesting way of protecting your data, because you wouldn't know if any of the detail in this was accidentally changed or deliberately changed. And you can always make sure that the right people only have access to the right information. Case in point, the PSNI data breach that happened a few weeks ago. Somebody in the PSNI, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, shared some information to a third-party company. And that actually got accessed by people that shouldn't, as you're aware. And it was the first initial, the surname, and the location of every police officer that worked in Northern Ireland, which is quite highly sensitive information. And that could have been prevented if somebody had a sensitivity label on the document to say, I want this to be highly confidential only to the recipients that I send this to. So that if I send it to ABC Computing or something, only that company in that email domain can access that information. Tom wouldn't be able to access it because Tom isn't a recipient of the email, because the email could have been forwarded on to somebody else. And that's some of the things that you should be considering if you don't have this type of document level protection already in your environment. Cool. So in terms of going back, I'll just pass back on to Tom for some reflections and the Q&A.
Good stuff. Thank you, guys. Hopefully that was useful. Peter, really good job, and thanks for the demos. I know we flew through a lot of information there, so hopefully you managed to take some useful kind of notes and takeaways. This is available as a recording after, so you can access it, and we are also available. So if you have further questions, we're doing a Q&A at the end anyway, so we'll try and answer as many questions as possible. But we are Stripe, and we can help if you need us to. So a few kind of bits that I believe need a little bit of a focus on the key takeaways. So if you are using the M365 Business Premium stack and the license there, you're probably already paying for a lot of technology twice. So if you think about your endpoint protection, what are you using? Are you using kind of a Sophos or another product? Because if you've got Business Premium, you have a equally as good technology, if not better, in Defender for Business, and you're already paying for it. So email protection, some people might use third-party email protection solutions. And the M365 Business Premium includes Defender for Office 365, which is incredible. Peter showed you safe links and safe attachments. This stuff gets scanned in sandboxes before it reaches your users. So if someone tries to send malicious information or files, it will be scanned and tested before it reaches your end users, and keeping your organization safe. If you guys are using products like Office 365 E3 or M365 E3, it's also worth considering, could you switch to M365 Business Premium, because half the time it includes more features, but it's less. So you're actually saving money and gaining much more. So that's worth considering. MFA, I know everyone seems to bang on about MFA and 2FA, but honestly, as a security company, there are so many attacks that could have been prevented just by people having MFA turned on, and it's not that difficult. It's so easy to use now. MAM, mobile application management. So most organizations let users access email and files when they're on the move on their personal phones. We certainly do. Just imagine if you gave your users access to their email and all of that good stuff on their personal device, and for some reason that user didn't work for you anymore. They retain all of that data on their personal device, and we definitely don't want that. So MAM is really simple to turn on. I would definitely look at that. Again, included in M365 Business Premium as well. Autopilot. So if you guys are IT admins, you know how tedious it has been in the past to deploy workstations to people. You've got to bring it onto your network, deploy an image to it using WSUS or WDS, something like that. Then you've got to ship it out to the user via like UPS, and it is a nightmare. It's not straightforward. With Autopilot, it's so much easier. You can ship direct from your supplier to that end user, and the setup just happens. So much easier to use. And then the DLP and auto labeling stuff that Peter talked about. So classifying documents, detecting them before they go out of your organization. So if someone's going to send out a document by accident that has 100 people's addresses in with credit card numbers, we can stop that before it leaves your organization and hopefully stop you going on the news. So that is a quick roundup. If you don't use M365 Business Premium currently, there are 30-day trials available, and we can help you turn that on and show you how to do it. Again, we're here to help, happy to guide and show you how to do that. If you do want to trial, get in touch. We can set it up for you and then talk to you about these features in more detail. All of our contact details are below. We are doing a QA now. So if you have any questions at all, hopefully related to M365 Business Premium and the things that we've talked about, we're happy to help answer them. Hopefully you've got me and Peter that will be able to do that.
Perfect.
So we've got a few questions around, will it be made available as a recording? Yes, it's definitely going to be made available on YouTube and on our website. So I'm sure an email will be sent out with those links.
I see one from Lily. In terms of consolidating technologies in-house with Business Premium, which tool sets do you find most valuable? Well, for me personally, I think Defender for Business is a game changer. If you go into Google and have a look and say, Google, do us a comparison of Defender for Business within the Microsoft applications and things like that. Defender for Business has more security than M365 E3. And it's quite surprising. But I think in terms of the tool sets, when you go into the Defender for Endpoint Manager and monitor and look at all the different things, it tells you who your most risky users are. So at any point, maybe once a month or once a week, you could go in and have a look and see, these are some of the users that are constantly forgetting their passwords, or constantly logging in from different locations. Or these are the people that are always triggering MFA because they're doing something they should, they shouldn't or whatever. And that, I think, is really valuable because users are the risk to your organization. The technology can be there. It can help, thwart the attacks, but it can't prevent them. We will always be attacked in this day and age. It's just a question of when. But Defender for Endpoint Manager allows you to look at everything across your estate to say, here's some of the things you should be addressing, because these could be, or eventually scope into, a breach of some kind. Tom, what would you say would be your most valuable tool set?
I would say probably the capability around Intune. So all of the protection that Intune offers. So most businesses are using what's called group policy and Active Directory to manage devices and kind of mobile phones and MDM. But most people don't understand that in M365 Business Premium, you've got the full capability to manage your mobile devices, laptops, and kind of workstations all under that roof. And the reason why Intune's so kind of got so much traction in the marketplace now is because it's all cloud-based. You don't have to be connected to a VPN or a network to receive policy updates and manage devices. It's all completely done wherever the user is. So if they're jumping around the world and using their laptop all over the place, and you need to deploy a security update or a patch or a change to the policy, it will happen the next time that user has their device online. So yeah, the capability around Intune is definitely something that we help our customers take advantage of when they move to Business Premium for sure.
Yeah. I've got another question here, which is regarding, I'm on an Office E3, how can I go to Business Premium? So it depends really when, what kind of license program you're on and things like that. But get in touch with Stripe and they can do that review for you. But if you're contracted in until a specific date, you will have to wait until that date to switch to Business Premium. Upgrades and switching licenses within Microsoft typically allows you to switch licensing if it's of a cost advantage to them, funny enough. So if you're going to spend more money on licensing, so if you want to go from Business Standard to Business Premium, you can upgrade at any point during your term. But if you're on a higher costing license, like an E3 or an M365 E3, and you're like, oh my goodness, Business Premium contains a lot more bang for your buck, which it does, you will have to wait until the end of your license term to switch to that product. But again, like Tom said, you can get a trial. You can start testing out some of the features and functionality for some of maybe your riskiest users or users that contain the most sensitive data, like your board of directors or HR personnel and things like that. And you can get started from there.
Good stuff. I don't know if we've got. Oh, we've got one more question. Check that one.
So, how to wipe the machine if it's lost and not connected to the internet? So, effectively, when it does connect to the internet, it will automatically delete. If the device never connects to the internet, it can be quite difficult in terms of the data. It would be the data that's only on the device. But what the best way to manage that type of thing is to never have anything stored on the device. Have everything stored in OneDrive. And you can set up your machine so that when you're editing documents, you can say that documents are automatically saved in OneDrive. So the documents, the pictures, files on your device, when you save them, they're saved in that folder, but on OneDrive. So that in order for you to open those documents, you need an internet connection at all times. Now, that can be a bit of a pain if you're traveling on the train a lot, because you'll always need a Wi-Fi connection. But Wi-Fi is so common these days that it should be straightforward. But that is the way to ensure that the sensitive information, if a device was disconnected from the internet, is not offline, which is why the best way to save your documents is so that they're always in OneDrive, so that, yeah, they cannot open it without an internet connection. But that's how you would get around it. Tom, is there anything I'm missing there?
I would say on top of what Peter's described there is to make sure the endpoint's secure. So we talked about a lot of features around Defend for Endpoint and email protection, etc. We touched on Windows Hello and device encryption. So when you are configuring your Intune policies, you need to make sure that Windows Hello is enabled so that the user is able to log on to the device in a secure way. So they're using MFA to log on to their devices, i.e. biometric and password, PIN that's registered to that device. But then the Intune policy is also enforcing encryption on that device. So if the device does get stolen, or we have it a lot where some of our clients have potentially left their laptops on a train or in a pub, and all of a sudden they wake up the next day and think, oh, my laptop's not here. I must have left it in that bar or on that train. So if someone gets hold of that laptop, the first thing they're going to do is turn it on, right? They're going to turn it on, see if they can log in. Unless they are a supercomputer and they can kind of bypass MFA and guess your password, which is extremely unlikely, the next thing they can try is taking that hard disk out of the machine, plugging it into another one to try and access the data. If the data is encrypted and you've set up your Intune policies correctly, and we can advise you on how to do that. If it is, then that hard drive is going to be encrypted. So there's absolutely no way that they can get into that data. So yeah, on top of making sure that you've got everything that Peter described enabled. Just make sure your engine policies are configured to encrypt that data, as well as not storing data locally on the device.
Great, perfect. I think that's it for questions.
It certainly is. Thanks again, Peter. Super useful. Hopefully you guys find this useful as well. Use the contact details there to reach out if you've got any questions, or kind of connect up on LinkedIn. Super happy to help and guide. But I think that's it for now. So thank you very much, guys. Speak soon.
Thank you.